What was the most successful prank you've ever pulled? My late husband was a weather nerd and loved inclement weather. One time I was home alone and a huge storm was imminent. I taped the weather warnings. A few days later it was a beautiful sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. We were watching TV, and as soon as he walked into the kitchen to fetch a beer, I started playing the warnings. It was so funny. He kept running outside to check the sky. I laughed so hard, and so did he, when I fessed up. A successful but unsuccessful one. I saw a friend walking ahead of me, so did the old tap on the shoulder but run past on the other side maneuver. However, while concentrating on him, I didn't see the park bench, ran into it at full speed, and collapsed behind it. Through the gaps in the seat I could see my friend looking left and right, almost freaking out, wondering who had tapped him in the shoulder. The tears from the pain in my leg kept me from laughing and giving myself away for about 20 seconds. After seeing the movie Poltergeist, I thought it would be funny to put all the chairs up on the table stacked all weird and then open all the cabinets in the middle of the night. I thought it would be harmless and my parents would get a laugh out of it. Nope. They believed, 1000%, that it was a ghost we had in the house, and it didn't even matter that I told them the truth. They choose to believe it was a ghost. I'm not sure why, but I think they really wanted to be haunted or something. Reminds me of my friend James' story. When James was a little kid he screamed one night about a monster under his bed. His mom and dad came running in. They checked under the bed, the closet and behind the door. The next night James decided to prank his parents and screamed again. His parents rushed in and checked again. James did this night after night until one night he couldn't help himself. He laughed and told his parents he was playing a prank. His parents told him that they would always come running and check because they didn't believe his older brother. James was an only child. James did not sleep well that night. A buddy of mine from high school went by the nickname TD. One day, my brother asked me what TD stands for, so I look at him like he's an idiot and say Tyrone Draconus, duh. This name came out of nowhere. I had no intentions before that moment of deceiving him, so I nonchalantly go back to whatever I was doing. Brother freaks out saying that's the best name ever and is so excited he can't wait to surprise TD with knowing his name at school tomorrow. Thing is, TD stands for Theodore David. I get to school about 30 minutes before my brother and start explaining to everyone the situation, and to go along with it, even TD is on board. So, from end of August until early mid-May, every time my brother sees TD in the halls he shouts Tyrone Draconus. At one point another classmate of mine tried to correct him, but she had a bad reputation with me, bullied me when we first moved there, so naturally he didn't believe her. Then came graduation day, when my mom spoiled it. Yes, my parents were in on it too. Brother didn't want to attend commencement, and as a bargaining tool she said, "Don't you want to hear TD's name announced?" Several times. After a couple hours of that, brother comes up to me and asks, "TD's name isn't really Tyrone Draconus, is it?" I proceed to blow his mind with this elaborate ruse that spawned from one spontaneous moment several months prior. Edit. Autocorrect ruined the first instance of the fake name. So I went to a Catholic high school. I had a work-study volunteer job in the office to help with tuition. Part of this job involved printing letters and stuffing envelopes to parents and alumni. Fast forward to spring break time senior year. I get my hands on some of the stationery and envelopes and type up a letter to parents informing them that after careful consideration, the school has decided to place the health of its students above the arcane regulations against the use of condoms. Thus the school was going to be providing protection at the junior and senior proms. I typed this up at home and hit a kinkus, but only had enough for about half the senior class to get a letter. So I just mail merged every other student, stuffed the letters, and dropped them in the outgoing mail basket my next shift. Skip forward 3 days and shit hits the fan. Lots of kids are talking about this. The school is inundated with half super pissed conservative Catholic parents and half backpatters saying it's about time. The school sends out a letter to all parents telling them to disregard the previous communication, and that the letter was not an official communication. Skip forward another 3 days and even more parents start calling and writing asking what the school is talking about. They never got a letter. So, in a final letter, the school gets a copy of the original letter and includes it in a mailing to the entire student body with a second letter explaining that this wasn't official and that they will not be providing condoms at the dance. Y'all are the first people I've ever told. I don't know if this counts as a prank, but my dad is a huge fan of the series Scrubs, and there's a gag where a character puts a pancake in the silverware drawer and this exchange happens. Why is there a pancake in the silverware drawer? You mean why is there silverware in the pancake drawer? So, just for laughs, I made pancakes and put one in our silverware drawer, waiting idly by in the kitchen for him to need a fork or something. I watch all giddy as he, confused, takes the pancake out and asks what's a pancake doing in the silverware drawer. Without missing a beat, I say, you mean what is silverware doing in the pancake drawer? I didn't think it would actually work. He got a real kick out of that. In the army the duties rotated. When it was my turn to clean the toilets I had prepared some chocolate pudding. I scrubbed the toilet seats exceptionally clean, then left a thin, but clearly visible brown line of the pudding on one of the seats. During inspection the lieutenant saw it and yelled for the person responsible for the bathroom that day. I raised my hand and followed him into the stall with the dirty seat. "What's this?" he said. I dipped my finger in the pudding, smelled it, then slowly licked my finger as if I was tasting it and said, "It's poo but I don't know whose." This is where I usually stop when I tell this story. The lieutenant was a hilarious guy. After a few intense seconds he cracked up and started laughing, then simply told me to clean it in case his commanding officer would drop by. I had heard about this prank somewhere before, but I can't remember from where, but at least I did it myself. I set up a fake email address for the Narwhal Appreciation Society and sent a coworker an email from the address saying, "We at the Narwhal Appreciation Society have been informed that you too have an affinity for this majestic creature and we wanted to see if you would like to join our society." He responded with thanks for the email. "Not sure who referred me, but I don't have any interest at joining your society. Good luck." A couple of weeks later, I emailed him again and listed off the membership dues for the society and upcoming events. He responded with, once again, "Please note that I'm not interested. Please take me off your distribution list." A few weeks later, I emailed him a note that his membership dues were in arrears, commenting that the faithful narwhal would most assuredly pay its bills if it used currency. I emailed him roughly 2-3x per year for 3 to 4 years. For the first year, when we still worked together, I'd see him open the email, shake his head, and say aloud, "Not these fucking guys again." But he never attempted to block the email address. He responded to some, becoming increasingly agitated, and ignored others. In one response, he attached pictures of dead narwhals that had been killed by newt hunters, and said, "This is what I think of your stupid narwhal. I hate them. I wish them all dead." I eventually stopped and never mentioned to him that it was me, but years later, a few ex-coworkers were out for pints, and one guy said to me, "Whatever happened with that narwhal shit you were doing?" And my pranked coworker's eyes bugged out of his head. "That was you?" For our high school senior prank at my boarding school, we snuck out in the middle of the night and stole the athletic director's prized golf cart. We pushed it up a hill to the school. One of our friends was able to get keys from a custodian and let us in a back door. We got the golf cart into the building and then into a science classroom and lifted it up onto the big lab tables. We decorated it with nonsense and left it there and locked everything up. In the morning, everyone not in on it was completely confused about how the hell we had pulled it off. We didn't even damage anything. Even the chain we had to cut to get the golf cart free was replaced with a note on our athletic director's doorstep. The custodial staff wasn't even mad at having to take the cart out because it was so ridiculous. I can only imagine the double take that the teacher did when he entered his class that day. One of my friends in HS was a jerk to another friend of mine. They weren't dating, Paresi, but they were hanging out. Anyways, the rude friend was deeply unapologetic about the whole thing and basically said, "What are you going to do about it? Big mistake. Huge point gif." We all went to the same church, so I knew his mom very well. I reached out to her, explained the situation. Her son was being a jerk and being deeply irrepentant about it. Would she mind if I and a couple of friends came to pull several harmless pranks in his room while we was away at work? Myself and 2 associates went to his house on some random Wednesday afternoon. We filled every damn crevice in that room with that shredded Mylar confetti that sticks to everything. Left post-it notes all over the wall and sticky side up on the floor. He had a ceiling fan, so I hauled in a ladder and left thick lines of the confetti on the blades. We did a test run of this just to see how it would spread. And it was like it was snowing multicolored sparkles. We then set up about 10 rows of plastic cups of water, slowly building back to the door, which we then closed. His mom later told us that the cleanup took him 2 hours, after which he promptly turned on the ceiling fan.